Well, it was all stuff you haven't thought about in what, 30 years, 35 years?
Yeah.
Because what made it so awesome. Well, let's start off talking about 25 years together with all your original members. That's insane. That's unprecedented.
Yeah.
What do you think it is that keeps you guys together?
Well, I think we all love making music, you know, after you've been in it so long, you realize you're lucky to have done it for that long, and then you want to do it for more. And to be able to make a living doing something creative is a rare thing, and I think we just want to keep doing it.
Yeah. I got into Clutch in '95 with your self-titled release, which I still consider to be a game changer in that genre of music.
Cool.
I can't believe it's almost 20 years for that thing, man. That's wild.
It's pretty. I think that was the album when we kind of figured out what kind of band we were, and we've been following that trajectory ever since. What preceded it, I think, was us just kind of coming into our own.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot of things I would change about that record in hindsight, but at the same time, it's kind of very special to me for the reason that it was that eureka moment for us.
Do you think you might service that anniversary next year? Would you maybe do a tour and just play that album, or do something with the recording?
Most likely not.
No?
Because we're going to be recording a new record at the top of the year and having that come out at the end of 2015. But
nice.
That's not to say we won't do a couple shows.
Okay. Just
we've done that once or twice.
It's a big album for a lot of people, so I'm curious. As soon as I listened to Earthrocker, the first time I listened to that album, I loved it. And that's unprecedented in this day and age of kind of here's one or two songs and filler.
Yeah. I
love that album here's 11 songs and they're all awesome.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you feel that way. I mean, I think there's still a mindset of thinking about CDs. You got 75 minutes of music and you need to pack it full of anything.
Yeah.
I still think the shorter LP, 45 minutes to 50 minutes, is an ideal amount of music that it's not too much. And we also tried to, write songs that we knew that we would be able to play on stage. Instead, some songs for us that we've written in the studio, bring it to the stage and it just doesn't work. And that's easier and easier to do these days because you can click and drag and copy and paste parts, and it never works out. So we're trying to do the same thing this time around.
So you spent more time doing those songs in advance, you did pre-production on them and just ironed them all out?
We did a lot of pre-production for that, and it usually starts with, one idea here, one idea there, maybe those don't work together, let's try with something else and make Frankensteins, and then play them live together to see if that jives. And if it's usually apparent within, 5 minutes whether or not that's the case. Because the stage is still the proper test.
Right. Will you go back and work with Machine again?
We are right now.
Are you? Awesome.
We've done a couple sessions of pre-production. We've got quite a bit of material that we've recorded. A lot of it will end up on the floor, but that's just the way it is.
That's the way it is, exactly. And well, you know what? 2 of those songs wound up on the re-release of Earthrocker, right? Like you took those 2 nuggets and put them out on the expanded edition. So you might do something with them. Yeah,
well, we always keep that in mind. You try to record as much as you can, so that you don't always, just since we own our own record label, we also think about trying to extend the longevity of a record.
Yeah.
And that's just the nature of the business. It's really hard to sell CDs these days.
Yeah, it is. But people are still buying physical stuff. Like I have 3 copies of Earthrocker. I have the original release, I have the double picture disc vinyl, and I have the triple disc version with the DVD in it. And I can't part with any of them because they all have different meanings to me. They all mean something different,
Oh, that's cool.
It is cool.
I'm glad to hear that.
And I don't feel like I got rooked or double dipped or anything. I wanted that picture disc because it looked cool.
Nice.
And I wanted the DVD because I wanted to see Earthrocker live. So
cool.
in my living room.
Yeah, it's a little more convenient.
It is. It's less sweaty. Can you you talk a little bit about what it was like doing Blood and Thunder with Mastodon? How that came about?
We had done a tour with Mastodon prior to that, and then they just reached out and said, you know, do you want to sing on a song? They were recording in Seattle,
right?
And I went out there, and Braun gave me the lyrics, and I did it a couple of times. I remember him kind of busting my chops a little bit. He's like, "That's not what I want," and you really got to go for it. And I gave him for a little more. He's like, "Nope, that's not it." And I got a little frustrated, and then that was what ended up on. See, you know, he was very hands-on about, like, he wanted that madman.
Right on.
It was mid-afternoon. It usually takes me a while to ramp up to that.
That's still my favorite song on that album.
Oh, I've done it. We had the opportunity to do that live with them earlier this year. We were on tour with them in Australia on a festival there.
Are there clips of that online? I'd like to see that.
Yeah, there are.
Are there?
And,
okay, I'm gonna look for that.
Oh, I assume there are. I haven't watched it.
It's been entertaining hearing some of your songs permeating shows like Sons of Anarchy and The Walking Dead. I think that in a lot of ways, those boutique station shows are better for bands than music videos were like 10, 15 years ago. You get more exposure.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to comment on that. I mean, I guess there are bands like us that we're not going to get played on mainstream radio. We're played on college radio a little bit here and there on mainstream radio. And music videos, you know, MTV is a non-entity for music, and YouTube is what kids go to. So, and that's completely overwhelming. So shows like that, when you hear something in the background and say that's interesting, and just probably go on your phone and find out what it is, you can get a copy of it within minutes. For bands like us, it's wonderful because, you know, we're not for everybody, but there's plenty of people out there. It's just a matter of finding them, letting them find us.
And while you're not for everybody, you can literally play almost any genre of musical festival. You can fit into a hard rock festival, a metal festival. You can play some of your slower, bluesier stuff and fit into maybe something that's a little more down-tuned. It's a nice place to be as a band.
It is now. It wasn't back then in the 90s when we were signed to major labels. And they're like, well, what kind of music is this? And the problem was that we were kind of always in between the boxes.
Yeah.
And that made their lives more difficult. But now, because we just kind of stuck to our guns, we have that ability to play these places and feel comfortable. And I think festivals are getting a little bit more diverse anyway.
Yeah.
And that's for the best.
As strange as it is being in the music industry now and kind of watching it all sort of tailspin, that it does have its advantages in that you can come out and do festivals like this. You can play with Motorhead. You can take Orange Goblin out on the road with you and like do all this interesting stuff with other cool bands, and people just turn up and rock out to it. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. People are talking till they're blue in the face about the health of the music industry, but at the end of the day, there will always be a demand for music.
Yeah.
And that'll never change because live music's been around for hundreds of thousands of years, and the recording industry's only been around for a couple decades.
After you started your label, did you feel like you maybe just stepped into a whole bunch of other responsibilities and challenges, or was it just, this is perfect, this is what we want to do for the rest of our musical career?
Well, at that particular time, that label that we were on was in such dire shape that we were already doing most of the stuff ourselves anyway.
Right.
So it wasn't that difficult. But it has been a learning process to be able to compete, and because it's so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it's a bit schizophrenic sometimes making a decision as an artist versus a business person, because that was usually an argument that occurred over a phone.
Right.
Now it occurs in our own heads or between band meetings.
Now you're the label. Now you're the guy going, should we do this? Should we do this?
Yeah.
That's unique.
Well, you know, when we were signed to labels, it was easy to say we want a pop-up book album with, fireworks coming out of it. And they would say, no, that costs too much money, and we would get upset. But now we're that label saying, okay, actually, yeah, that does cost a lot of money to make a very expensive package. But you find a happy medium.
Right. Earth Rocker was a successful release for you. Do you feel, as a musician, that you have to change that up going into your next one, or do you want to try to duplicate the formula that put those songs in place and make another album very much like it?
I think the best thing is just follow your gut. I think if we tried to make Earth Rocker 2, it would be DOA. But then again, you don't want to completely abandon it. We've turned this, I mean, we started writing this pretty quickly.
Right.
So it does bear a lot of similarities to Earth Rocker just because we're just coming off the heels of that. If we waited 5 years, I'm sure it would be a different story.
Right. What do you guys do as a four-piece to not fall into that, oh, here's the same old kind of Clutch sound? Do you approach some of your songs and go, I want this to be different, I want bigger beats, I want different signature changes? Is that cognizant?
That's always the struggle. There's two sides to that argument. I mean, we find ourselves, we'll play a riff and we'll say, we've heard that before,
right,
and discard it. And that can be a good thing, and it pushes you to find something new. But at the same time, it's important to accept one's strengths. I mean, for an example of that is a song on Earth Rocker, DC Sound Attack, that opening riff.
Right.
We played it, we said to ourselves, we've done this before, it sounds too much like Clutch. And the machine said, well, you are Clutch.
Right.
So really, what's the issue?
It's a valid point,
yeah.
And it's a good song.
Yeah. Thank you.
The rest of the year, what are you doing touring-wise before the end of 2014?
Not a lot. This is it. I mean, we got this September run that's kind of anchored with these Riot Fests,
right,
and a festival at the end of it in Baltimore. And then we'll take October, November, and December off to finish up writing and pre-production. And then we'll do a run from Christmas to New Year's to mid-January out to Texas,
right,
where we plan to record it.
Okay.
And then we'll record in January and February and probably the beginning of March. Take a little bit of time off, go back out on the road.
How often do you get to spend at home?
Not enough. Not enough.
Because it sounds like you're planning tours and then wrapping up so that you can do recording and...
Well, on one hand, I'm glad it's good to be busy.
Yes.
To be not busy would be terrible.
Right.
And also, it's good to be able to look almost a year in advance and know more or less what you're doing. Yeah, it sucks leaving home, but at the same time, when I do go home, that's all I have to do. I don't have to sit in morning traffic.
Yeah, fair enough.
Be a miserable jerk.
So these dates that are happening right now, these are the final Earth Rocker dates. If you want to see some of those,
for all intents and purposes, because in December we're probably going to be playing a lot of the new material live, and that'll be it. But you know, it's never, for Clutch, it just never stops.
Yeah.
We make albums to support our tours.
Okay.
Not the other way around.
You don't ever worry that someone's going to hold up a phone and misrepresent a new song by saying, "Here it is. It's on the web."
Oh, it happened last night.
Did it? Okay. Fair enough.
There's nothing you can do about it these days. You know, we played a song for the very first time last night, and you can look at it as free advertising,
yeah,
or you know, then again, also, I don't want anybody reading the rough draft.
Right. Fair enough.
Whatever. It's bigger problems to have.
Awesome, man. I'm going to grab a still shot.
Okay.
And I look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah, cool.